Hello everyone, Alexander Quintero here in my video response number 2, looking at professional counselor skills and specifically the examples that we were given in the video. So a especially introspective week this week, you could say. I thought it was really cool kind of getting to apply our own experiences or our own preconceptions of therapy with some actual models that the videos gave us. In regards to my own therapeutic background or experience with therapy, I thought that it was echoed in the videos, maybe in a way that you might not expect. But when I first began seeking a therapeutic relationship, I had to go through 4 different therapists in order to find someone who really aligned with my values and I felt was a really good fit in regards to being able to help me with what I was working through. And I thought that was echoed pretty strongly in the videos here because the first counselor, I didn't think they were necessarily bad, so to speak, but I just didn't really find their approach effective, and I don't think it was something that would work with me. Whereas the second counselor I thought was extremely effective, had a very strong grasp on all of the different skills that our textbook speaks about, was able to expertly weave them into his cognitive behavioral approach and being able to challenge the negative self-talk of the client, her negative preconceptions regarding asking people to hang out and doing things that she wanted to do as opposed to just kind of giving in to what everyone else wanted to do all the time. And I just thought overall that the model that he used, the theoretical background that he used, and his interspersing of the skills throughout the session, even just in this small example, was very effective. So, I would definitely return for a second session with the second counselor. I probably wouldn't go back after seeing the first counselor, but kind of diving a little bit more into specifically what they were looking at, I think something the first counselor did do pretty well was asking open statements. It seemed like after everything his client was saying, he was able to summarize and kind of reform the conversation into the client opening up on her own terms with her own speed in a way that she was comfortable with by just saying, tell me more about that, or tell me more about how you're feeling, or specifically on the empathy side, being able to say, oh, I see you're frustrated. Can you tell me more about why that's frustrating you, or whatever it may be. Whereas the second counselor, like I said, he seemed to have a stronger skill base overall. And something with me specifically, I can be stubborn sometimes, and it's something I'm working through, but I really liked how the second counselor was able to challenge his client in a loving way. And following the example of the Ivy model, which is something that the textbook speaks about, he was able to show that empathic action, be able to sit there, really actively listening to what his client was saying, reviewing the things they had spoken about previously. And when he saw that she wasn't necessarily doing the things that she had set out for herself to do and had self-identified as her goals, he was able to reform the conversation in a loving way and basically remind her, these are the goals that you set for yourself, and being more independent, being less codependent, moving more into a secure attachment style, which is not something he said explicitly, but was a base of what he was talking about. And was able to take that and form some really strong action items that they could both agree on, and the client was going to take into her next week, specifically, asking her friends out to things she wanted to do, to go to the museum that she wanted to go to, as opposed to just kind of backing into old habits of just doing what other people want to do, so to speak. So that's obviously comes from a cognitive behavioral base of being able to reform some negative preconceptions and some negative self-talk that she was going through. So I definitely think counselor 2 would be a good fit for me if I was in this experience. Like I said, I really think that his loving challenging of the client was very effective. And in Monitor on Psychology, volume 48, Fred J. Hanna elaborates on this and says that some clients say they really want to change, then fight every inch of the way to make sure they don't. So that resistance may not be active resistance, but it can be just coming from some negative self-talk, which is what we saw in the second video. So the way he was able to challenge that, I think, was very effective. It goes along with what Dr. Hanna was saying here as well. In regards to a question I have, I would just ask the first counselor, what his approach was. If he had a theoretical basis that he was working from, or was just kind of, asking open-ended questions, because it wasn't immediately apparent to me. So I would just be a little more curious regarding that. So thank you all so much for watching and listening. And this is Alex Quintero again with my video blog response. We'll see y'all next time.